Alright guys, HyDra again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far, with gentlemen's agreements being a massive discussion over the last couple of weekends. A big talking point has once again been snaking. Scrappy was calling out Geo for it just the other day. Will we see the pros once again uphold the snaking gentlemen's agreements? The OpTic boys are talking about the gentle mates roster, Kismet and Skyz, who when they were on the subliners were the snaking demons they believed a couple of years ago. Cellium is usually the name that gets talked about when it comes down to snaking. The OpTic boys reckon there are a couple of players even better than him at it if they decide to use it again for the upcoming season on these maps. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. I don't know what's going through TJ's head here, but I thought I'd share it anyway. This I thought was pretty funny. I think this map was called like CeeLo or something, but it's a World at War map from back in the day, and there was a game mode in that game called War, just because there's been lots of talk lately on the game modes in the new title. Should we be playing Control? Should we be playing something else? And War is a game mode, as I say, that was around back in World at War. It was brought back in Advanced Warfare called Momentum. I don't think it's the best game mode, but it is a game mode and maybe better than Control. The way it works is it's kind of like Domination, but you have 5 flags. So you have like your own base one, and then you basically have to capture the flags up to the middle, and then you have to, you know, push the enemy back towards their spawn and capture all of the flags. And if you get all 5 in a row kind of thing, then, you know, you win the round. So it was played quite a lot in Advanced Warfare. I thought it was pretty fun in that game. It's not been a competitive, you know, game mode ever really, but it has been something that's been slightly considered, and that's what Zinni talks about, is like, yeah, War on, I think it was CeeLo, but yeah, Zo4's like, bro, how old you gotta be to even play this map? Technically, Zinni could play this map if he wanted to. I think just load the game up. It is playable still, but it's not like there's many people playing it. We also have, for the FaZe commus guys, the numbers on Scrappy for his individual kind of record KDs against other players in the league over the most recent season. So his easiest record last year was against Metal. So he was slamming Metals, individually had a 1.6 against him. The highest number of anyone was, I think, Ghosty on Priestahh, who had like a 1.8 against Priestahh last year. So just to kind of make this clear, obviously each team plays another team, but if you look at it from an individual player perspective, this is what you'll find. Now, Cellium, notably, there were only 3 players in the whole league that Cellium had a negative KD against, which is pretty absurd, but it is true. And it was Estriel being one. I think it was maybe Dashy and Skyz being the other ones. But he definitely had a positive KD against Scrappy, as we'll see here. But Scrappy had some pretty good numbers, and it's not like, look, there were more players that Scrap went negative against than Cellium did, but to be fair, many of these numbers are pretty marginal. But the ones that he slammed, he slammed. So Metals, he had a 1.6 against. Purge of Purge, 1.51 against. Kenny, honestly, has been on a lot of these, getting slammed quite badly, which I thought was kind of interesting because he was still excellent for OpTic Texas last season, but maybe there are certain matchups where Kenny does tend to struggle, and sure, while Scrappy dominated Kenny on a 1v1 level, Dashy did have his number with a 0.93 against Dashy last year, but of course, you know, on average, against the OpTic AR duo, Scrap was still coming out on top. Atachi had a 1.4 against, Estriel had a 1.37. His hardest was Cell, by quite some margin actually, with a 0.82. Then Skyz, then Dashy. Diamondcom was here as well, and then even Nero. So this is interesting, and I think probably understandable, that Scrappy tends to struggle more with more traditional, slower ARs. I mean, that's how Cellium, Skyz, and historically, Dashy's been a faster player, kind of similar to Scrap, really. But obviously, last year, Dashy changed his playstyle, slowed it down a lot, got loads of heal time, and Kenny was the one doing more of the running around. So it's kind of understandable that if there's any individuals that, you know, Scrap's going to struggle with more on a 1v1 level, it's guys that are set up on headies. And given, you know, Scrap plays super fast-paced for an AR, so Cell, Skyz, and Dashy make sense. But most players, he was still slamming them regardless. If you just look at the ARs, you'll find this. So, yeah, you do tend to find, obviously, Attach and Abuzah are not fast ARs, really, but still, Scrappy had their number, 1.39 against Attach, 1.35 against Abuzah, 1.26 on Nastie, 1.15 even on Sib. Thought that was kind of interesting, just because, you know, Sib was in the conversation to either replace Scrappy. Maybe at Toronto they went for Beans instead, or obviously there's been lots to talk about where Simp could have gone if, let's say, Cloud9 didn't keep him. Could he have even gone to like Thieves or something? But I think that was never especially likely. And then we throw Ghosty into the mix as well here with a 0.98 against him. So yeah, they're going to be teammates for the upcoming season on that Los Angeles Thieves roster. But let's talk about some of this snaking drama, right? Because Scrap has been in the conversation now basically on everything when it comes down to gentlemen's agreements over the last few days. The knife getting banned, or maybe not. The snipers getting banned, probably yes. Obviously the Model L, the XM4, all of those things at the start of the game as well. And yeah, we saw this clip the other day. I'll probably share it for you guys again on Scrappy barking at Geo after beating him in ranked and, well, popping a couple of snakes. Now, last year, there was a big talk about snaking, right? Because you guys remember when the pros used to say, oh, you can't GA snaking because people will do it anyway. And, well, I'm sure a lot of the community didn't buy that because we used to GA snaking back in the day. The pros used to agree not to do it. I mean, look, I don't need to explain snaking. You can simply just watch what Geo is doing right here and, you know, make your own mind up on whether this is fair or not. Even as Nate said the other day, there's such a peaker's advantage in these new COD games that if you pull something like this off, you know, basically there's no chance for the other guy to even land a shot on you, let alone trying to get the kill. And this has been a problem in COD for years. It's not going away. I mean, they could stop it very easily if, like they did in Black Ops 3, pretty good game. When you go prone, you know, you have to bring your hand out to even go prone, and they could make the movement more clunky to stop snaking. And according to Trake, they've kind of tried to do that, but it's not making much difference, clearly. Snaking is still absolutely possible, as it has been for the last few years. Back in Infinite Warfare, they GA'd it. I mean, it was rife and everyone was doing it, and after Stage 1 playoffs, they said, all right, guys, let's just stop because it's kind of getting outrageous. And on that game, it was like the cameras were so bad that it was arguably the worst it's ever been. But then when Cellium came into the league, Cold War, Vanguard, you know, and beyond, Cellium, you know, reportedly was kind of refusing to stop doing it. That was at least the rumor back in the Cold War days. I remember a video that I made back then when there was a rumor anyway that Simp had like said to Cell, like, please could you stop snaking? And then he said, I ain't doing that type thing. I don't know if that's even true or not, but it was a rumor anyway. And obviously the other pros are like, oh, well, you know, how can you stop someone snaking? What's allowed? Can you do 1 pump? Can you do 2 pumps? Like, what's legit here? What's fair and what's not fair? So Zuma, of course, is like the commissioner or whatever. He stepped in last year and got the pros to basically agree to stop snaking. Now, a couple of pumps is okay. Any more than that, of course, is a problem. And yeah, last year, did we see instances of people snaking, breaking the GA, getting punished in some regards? Yeah, we did see that. And, you know, I think that was a good outcome, all things considered. But this year, it's once again a concern because we know that there's other GAs going on. The knife was maybe GA'd, but then we're hearing some pros say, screw that, we're using it anyway. So, you know, there are questions on whether these gentlemen's agreements will actually be upheld this season, and especially when it comes down to some of the better snakers in the game.
But Kiz and Caesar were the best, they're better than MC at snaking that game.
No, Caesar is an underrated, like, goat snaker.
The Caesar and Kiz were like the best snakers. And Kitchen Who was trying to break that against that team. Go watch the VOD. Yeah, Caesar and Kiz would just snake. Parker would be running around mid and fucking just spawn killing, and Caesar and Kiz would never get killed. Yeah. Best snakers of all time. Yeah. MC literally, like, obviously, like,
MC is like the OG,
the notorious OG, but them two were like.
What do you think was a better game, MW3 or MW2?
MW3 with
MW3 by far.
I mean, we won champs too. So.
Not even just because we won champs.
No, but it was actually it was genuinely the better game, especially when they added
MW2 might be top 2 worst CODs all time.
Yeah, no red dot,
it might be worse than MW. I'm not even
no
sure.
Movement really.
Cold War. Actually, you didn't play Cold War.
I did play.
MW like, is MW2. They in a league.
Honestly,
Vanguard or MW3.
That's actually a good one.
I'm not gonna. I wanted both. So I'm gonna take MW3 though. I actually think Vanguard was godlike gun-wise, but maps and like.
Nah, I'll be honest.
It needed one more map. That was
I'd
like
say
another
MW3. Even if
I'd say MW3 only because of 6-star and
ReeaL.
If those two didn't get added into fucking Vanguard,
6-star was actually such a good map.
6-star was by far one of the best maps we've played in like
years.
Since BO4.
Was godlike.
It was such a perfect map.
No,
Or not, I don't want to say
Even
perfect. I don't know why I'm
Kinda,
guessing.
it's like
this
a
already.
ReeaL
was-
was godlike.
Yeah, ReeaL was godlike. They need to add those 2 maps, bro. No cap. Those 2 maps were good. I mean, we were obviously Nastie.
Like that game saved those 2 maps literally saved the game. But that's all it takes, dude. All it takes is fucking 1-2 maps and the game's just changed, dude.
6 stars in
If we were
Major
playing
three,
Invasion Hardpoint and Skid Row Hardpoint, Toronto Ultra would have had a 3-peat. Inside would have had 3 MVPs.
You would
It would have been legacy. Inside it would have been a statue at the front of Toronto.
14-8 every Skid Row.
It would have been 16-6, 3 KD. Every kid that watches back, bro, he's got a 2 KD every. That's insane.
Oh my
They
god.
watch the VOD back and he's
He's
just.
literally back apartments having a coffee.
So the OpTic boys talking about Skyz and Kismet, right? Of course, rivals of these boys in the recent past. Of course, they're also going to be on the Gentle Mates team for the upcoming season, which, you know, they could be pretty good. There's been rumours in scrims they've been looking rather nice as well. Definitely an interesting question for me in terms of how they are going to fare for the upcoming season. But yeah, I thought it was interesting because we consider Cellium to be like, you know, King Cobra or whatever people have said. But the OpTic guys say actually no, it was Kiz and Skyz, especially on the Hotel Breenberg map, whatever it was called, based on that like conservatorium hotel in Amsterdam, which for some reason I remember in on Modern Warfare 2, obviously. When you guys remember that hard point where everyone would just be snaking like the chairs in there again and again and again, and they were like, that was just impossible to play against. So that's a question. Obviously, they didn't really do it so much last year, but Skyz was called out for it, and maybe Kismet was as well at one point. Like, you guys remember at the start of last season, Skyz and the Los Angeles Gorillas, I think they played a series, and New York Subliners versus Gorillas, I think it was on Karachi, and Skyz kind of snaked, maybe didn't snake. There was some debate on it, and I think Subliners got kind of punished for that. They lost a warm-up scrim, I believe, because Skyz was snaking. So, yeah, it's a possibility anyway that those boys run it back again, but I think, I'm hopeful anyway, that the pros will actually be able to lock in this year and not ruin everything by bringing snaking back into competitive, because, you know, to be fair, as much as I'm not a big fan of GAs, getting rid of snaking and agreeing between the pros not to do it is a positive for the scene, and as long as we can trust them to uphold that trust between the players, which they did successfully manage for last year, I think it's still going to be a positive for the scene. But intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Just wanted to close out with this. I thought it was kind of remarkable. Pros who plays at the inaugural CDL launch event in 2020 who are also on a roster for the 2025 season. So at that launch event, by the way, there were, what, 12 teams, but at the time there were 5 players on a team. So we're talking 60 players. And of those 60, we have precisely 25% remaining 5 years later. So, of course, it's Simp, aBeZy, Cell from FaZe. They were on FaZe then. They're still on FaZe today. Shotzzy was on Dallas Empire. He's now on OpTic. Dashy was on OGLA. He's now on OpTic. Kenny was on, of course, OGLA as well, right? He's now on OpTic. And then, you know, Envoy was on the Huntsman at the time. Attach was on, what was it, the New York Subliners at the time. Slasher was on OGLA as well. That was a crazy timeline to be around. Priestahh was on the FaZe team, right, with Major Maniac back then. Kismet was on Paris Legion, I believe. And Skyz was on Florida. Cammy was on Toronto. TJ was on OGLA. And Metals was on Toronto, I believe, at that tournament. And yes, they messed around with a few things. Interesting, I will say, that OGLA team has actually kind of lasted the test of time, right? I mean, it was a terrible team. But it was Slasher, Kenny, Dashy, TJ, and like JCap at the start of the season or something like that. And they didn't really get along very well. And there was role issues all over the shop, but they didn't play very well, and they just weren't very good. But to be fair, most of those players, apart from JCap, have survived. Many other teams, that is not the case. And yeah, as I said, it's true for both OGLA and for FaZe, of course, with a Major Maniac and I guess, yeah, JCap being the other one, no longer in the conversation. But very much interested to your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.
And you guys using Craig shameless bump.
Hey, suck my cock.
You're ugly.
Muted.
Came up. You're losing viewership. You ugly retard.
What's wrong with that kid?
Hey, I guess Forsyth wins.
No, we're not. We're not trying to run his contract.
What? What'd he say?
Those guys are
weird, bro.
That kid's a psychopath.
What the fuck is wrong with that guy?
That guy's not good.
What'd he say?
Dodge those guys, bro.
No, I'm not trying to take his fucking contract.
Damn. Those are Lynz boys.
Holy shit.
Those are IRLs.
Wait, they are 4-stack?
Top trips.
Yeah,
I don't
they're
think
4-stacked,
Were they?
100%.
His
That
fucking
guy had a
little,
French. That guy had a French accent.
yeah, his little French friend's mauling right now. He's eating a fucking croissant.
He didn't even say no Krigs.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
no. I would have
Like,
been.
what are they tweaking about? Like, what the? I literally
wait.
put an aims on because he shot my body, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, like.
120 ping and you're using Krieg? Suck my
Wait, was
cock.
that Lynz talking?
No, that was his little mauling
No.
French friend.
Better not be. Cancel him.